dear students. Today we'll start with a new chapter, chapter 7, sound. Now the word sound is very familiar to all of us. This is a very common word. Now when we speak or when we communicate with each other, with your friends, with your teachers, with your relatives, okay? When you speak or when you communicate with each other, sound is produced. And also, the sound, you can hear the different types of sound every day coming from different sources. You can hear the sound of an animals, okay? So the birds, animals, and even the vehicles, the sound from the vehicles, the sound from the banging decks, okay, from cheers, from every places. That means from every places you will able to hear the sound, and you can differentiate the sound without looking. Suppose if a dog barks, you can hear the sound, and you don't have to see the dog. You will recognize it that this is the sound coming from produced from a dog. Okay, and also the sound from the birds, sound from the vehicles, and even the vehicles which produce a sound, we can distinguish that the sound is coming from a heavy vehicle, that is a bus, truck, lorry, or the sound is coming from a bike, scooty. So you can differentiate without looking, because you are very much familiar with the sound, okay, which you hear every day. So this sound is very much familiar to all of us. This is very much common word, okay. So when we discuss about sound, sound is a form of energy. It is a form of energy. Now why it is a form of energy is because they do some work. What work the sound will do? It helps us to hear. It helps us to hear. So therefore, sound is a form of energy which produces the sensation of hearing to our ears. So that means it produces the sensation of hearing to our ears, which we call it as a sound. Now, why the sound is considered as energy? Because they do some work. And what is energy? Energy is the capacity or the ability to perform or to do work. So likewise, sound is a form of energy. So number one point is, what is sound? Second one is, how the sound are produced. Sound are produced when the body vibrates. Unless and until the body does not vibrate, sound is not produced, or you will not be able to hear the sound. So when the body vibrates, then only the sound is produced from that vibrating body, and the sound travels in the ear, reaches to your ears, and you will be able to communicate, or you will be able to hear that sound. And the sound travels in the ear with a speed of 330 meter per second. So the speed of the sound in the ear is 330 meter per second. Now, how do the body vibrates? The vibration of the body takes place when they move to and fro. To and fro means forward and backward. Suppose you take the instrument, like the musical instrument, guitar. So you can hear the sound from the guitar when you pluck the string. When you pluck the string, what will happen to the string is that now the string will vibrate to and fro, up and down, like this. When they vibrate up and down, then the sound is produced. And the sound can be a louder sound as well as the fainter sound. The louder sound is produced when the body vibrates more. When the vibration is more, then the louder sound is produced. When the vibration is less, the sound is low, or the fainter sound is produced. Similarly, when you bang a decks, you can hear the sound of a banging decks. So to hear the sound of a banging decks, when you bang the decks, when you bang the surface of the decks very harder, okay, that means you apply more force on the surface of the decks. you will hear more louder sound. If you apply a lesser force, or if you bend the legs slowly or little force will be applied, the vibration will be less. So when the vibration will be less, then the sound becomes faint. So therefore, any sources which produces a sound, when the vibration is more, the sound will be louder. When the vibration is less, the sound will be fainter. So therefore, the sound is produced when the body vibrates. So this is how the sound is produced. And when the sound produced, that sound travels in the air with a speed of 330 meters per second, reaches to your ear, and finally the brain will communicate. So how it reaches to the ear? The sound travels in the air in the form of waves, like this, in the form of a wave. So we call it as a wave motion. So when this sound travels in the air in the form of a wave, our ear, which we call it as a pinna, the outer part of the ear, which we call it as pinna, P-I-N-N-A, pinna. Now this pinna will collect the sound waves, and the sound enters through the canal. There is one canal which you put your finger inside, which we call it as auditory canal. So the sound will collect by the pinna, and the sound enters through the auditory canal and reaches to your eardrum. Okay, inside there is an eardrum, and the eardrum will vibrate. And the vibration of the eardrum will make the inner ear. So there is the inner ear, which is a very much, which is very inside inner part of your ear. Okay, so that vibration of the eardrum will make to vibrate the inner ear. The inner ear known as the semicircular canals and the cochlea. Okay, semicircular canals, the three bony structures are there, and cochlea means it looks like a shell of a snail. Snail, you know that. Okay, shell of a snail. That is known as the cochlea. And on the cochlea, there is a small hair-like structure known as the auditory nerve. And that auditory nerve is connected with the brain. So the vibration of the eardrum will make to vibrate the inner ear, and that vibration will passes to the auditory nerve, which are located on the inner ear, and goes to your brain, and therefore your brain will be able to communicate what kind of sound is produced and from where the sound is coming. So this way, you can be able to hear the sound. And the sound comes from various sources, and without observing, without looking, you can easily recognize, okay, the sound, like the sound of a vehicle. Let us take an example of sound of a vehicle. By hearing the sound, you can able to distinguish that this is the sound coming from a bus, this is the sound coming from a truck, this is the sound coming from a bike or a scooty. You don't have to see, because you are familiar with this word, with this sound, with the sound coming from the vehicle, even from the musical instrument. Okay, when any musical instrument produces a sound, you can able to distinguish. Yes, this is the sound coming from a guitar. This is the sound from a drum. This is the sound from a flute. Likewise. Okay, so this way you can be able to hear the sound, because we are very much familiar with this word sound. Okay, now let us come next point, sources of sound. There are the various sources of sound. Okay, if we speak, if we communicate with each other, that is also the sound. And the sources of sound is our vocal cord. Okay, so vocal cord. So we have got a larynx. Okay, here in the throat there is a larynx, which we call it as a voice box. Okay, and the voice of an adult man is deeper than the voice of a female and a children, because the man has got a larger vocal cord. The vocal cord is larger compared to that of a woman and a children. So our vocal cord is 20 millimeter larger than the female and the children, and the female has got only 5 millimeter of vocal cord. That means the length of the vocal cord. So larger the length of the vocal cord, more they vibrate, and the deeper the sound it produces, which we come to the sound from the human voice. So when we come to the sources of sound, various sources are there. Okay, and let us consider the sources of sound from the musical instrument. There are various musical instruments, and from this musical instrument you can able to hear the sound, the different types of sound. You can hear the sound from the orchestra group. Orchestra means various musical instruments are there which are played at the same time, okay, at the different timings or at the same time, and you can able to distinguish this is the sound from a drum, this is the sound from the flute, sound from the piano, all this. So depending upon the sources of sound in the musical instrument, it has been categorized in the four types. It has been categorized in the four ways. Number one is the string instrument, which are guitar, sitar, all these are the string instrument. Second one comes the percussion instrument, like the leather instrument, drum, okay, tabla, all these things. Other one is the wind instrument, okay, wind instrument, that is flute, serenade, all this. And other one is the reed instrument. Reed instrument, which these are the instrument which produces sound when the air is blown to them. Example is harmonium. Okay, so these are the reed instrument, R-E-E-D, reed. So depending upon the types of musical instrument, it has been categorized in the four ways. Number one is the string instrument. Second one is the percussion instrument, which we call as leather instrument. Third one is the wind instrument, and fourth one is the reed instrument. So when the sound is produced from this instrument, okay, how the sound is produced from the string instrument is like when we consider the string instrument also, the sound which comes from this instrument, okay, so how they produce is when you want to produce a sound from the guitar, we have to plug the string. When you want to produce a sound from the piano, the string will get stuck. When you want to produce a sound from the violin, the bow of the violin, you know the bow, okay, the bow has to place across the string of the violin. So this way you can produce the sound is produced from the different musical instrument, and this sound is produced depending upon the applied force. How much force you apply? Larger the force you apply, more the louder the sound it produces. Okay, and the sound, it travels with a speed of 330 meter per second in air, reaches to your ears, and therefore you can able to communicate with the sound. Okay, so sound from the human voice. Even we communicate when I speak, okay, my vocal cord vibrate, and the vibration of the vocal cord will produce the sound. And the sound coming from the man, woman, and the children are different. Okay, our voice, that means the sound from a man are deeper than the sound from the woman and the children, because our larynx are larger, larynx known as the voice box, and the vocal cord, since the larynx is larger, okay, so the voice box are there, which produces voice box, which produces sound, okay, and this sound is produced by the vibration of the vocal cord, and we have got the man has got larger vocal cord, and the larger vocal cord produces a louder sound and a deeper sound. So this is about how the sound are produced, about the definition of sound, how the sound are produced, sources of sound, and sound from the human voice. In the next class, we will come to the graphical presentation of a wave motion. Thank you.